for the first time this year, I think people are starting to see the revolutionary impact that blockchain can bring to the industry, and especially to gaming, because it is gaming where it's currently booming. And I do think it's the NFTs that sparked this interest of so many people.
Hey everybody, welcome to Hashing It Out. I'm your host, Becky Legiro, and today I am with Karolina Pelc, the CEO and founder of SharedPlay. And Karolina, first of all, I think congratulations is in order. You've been named one of IGB's most influential women. You've been featured on Facebook's She Talks Games. So congratulations for all of your success. And thank you so much for joining me today.
It's my pleasure, Becky. I'm really happy to be on this podcast because I'm also a fan of yours. And whenever there's an opportunity to be on a podcast with you, I always jump on it.
Oh, I love it. Great. And I wanted to also introduce you to this audience as one of the forward thinkers in the online gambling space, especially. And that's why we're here today, because we want to talk about blockchain. And I know you're not an expert in blockchain, but you are curious about it. You're following it. You're learning about it. So I wanted to inspire others in our space to do the same, because this is really exciting technology. There's so much it can do for us in the industry. So this is why I have you here. But I've already mentioned some of the recognition that you've had in this space, but just for everybody's information, can you give a brief history of what you've been doing in the online gambling space?
Sure. I've always been in the online gambling industry, because I started humbly as a casino dealer many years ago, and sort of worked in London, then worked on the cruise ships and progressed through my ranks. I started in online at the very point where online started to boom. So I started in poker and worked with Jasper Svensson as my direct manager, whom I'm still friends to this day, now CEO of Betsson Group. And I sort of worked in a couple of different companies in London. I then did a brief stint in Manila. After that, Malta has been calling my name. So I joined as head of casino for Betsson Group, working again with Jasper. After which I started my journey with LeoVegas. LeoVegas was one of those small companies, but very recognized one, the first mobile casino. So I was really extremely excited about the opportunity I've been given to work directly with the founders, to form the team. I spent 3 years on that journey, from a very much startup mode to the company going through an IPO, multiple sort of mergers and acquisitions to become an organization counting, 1,300 people or more now. I left Malta after I had my baby. I felt the calling to go back to London. So I did consulting for 2 years, and I consulted on executive levels for a couple of tier 1 companies in UK, but also for startups and sort of entrepreneurs trying to bring their products to market. And I think working with startups and those entrepreneurs made me realize that this is really what I enjoy most. And I felt like maybe it was my time to get on that founder journey and bring some of my ideas to market. So here we are. I'm now a founder CEO of SharedPlay. We've been founded just less than a year ago, and we closed our first investment round 3 months ago. So we are now in this exciting pre-product stage where we're building product, hiring people. And I would say it's probably the most exciting part of being in startup, where everything is coming together and you have these big dreams and not that many challenges just yet. So it's kind of an easy, fun ride at this point still.
Oh, amazing. And what I love so much is that when you were going through all of this, starting SharedPlay, you did reach out to me, and you knew that I was working in the blockchain space and closely with Calvin on this, and asked some questions. You told me you had some ideas, and I love that. And I really want to encourage others in the space to do that. But what I wanted you to explain is first of all, where did you start hearing about blockchain? Because I know that at the gambling conferences, we've been talking about Bitcoin and blockchain for quite a while. It kind of fizzled out for a bit. But what is it about the technology that got your attention and made you think that perhaps I should be integrating this into SharedPlay?
Well, I heard about blockchain, years ago. As you said, it's been around, but I think all those speeches and presentations at conferences for many years were falling on deaf ears. Because people didn't really understand. And as laïcs, as am I, they were scared to ask questions. So I first looked into this when I interviewed after LeoVegas. Before I started consulting, I actually interviewed for a job at Fanfare. So naturally, I had to understand what they're up to, what they were doing, and what was their goal. So they started to explain this whole idea of blockchain-based games that empower people to have more trust toward the industry, where everything is transparent and payments are facilitated quicker. So that was really interesting to me, and I guess I started to follow it closer then. But I have to say, it's in the last year and a half, and especially this year, where it all exploded, and you can't really not be interested in this anymore. I think the whole Elon Musk, Bitcoin, and the news going mainstream, you can't ignore that. And there's a lot of people that jumped on board and started trading Bitcoin as their sort of day jobs, which is probably a misunderstanding of what Bitcoin is supposed to do. But that's how I started to get interested. But I also follow a lot of sort of entrepreneurs and founders. I follow Alexis Ohanian, the founder of Reddit, and he's a massive blockchain and crypto enthusiast. So he's posting so many interesting articles. And the more I read about it, the more I realize that for the first time this year, I think people are starting to see the revolutionary impact that blockchain can bring to the industry, and especially to gaming, because it is gaming where it's currently booming. And I do think it's the NFTs that sparked this interest of so many people. I guess this is why I'm more interested. And my product is the vision for SharedPlay is to redefine how people play, and we want to do that through introducing community element into real money gaming, and creating community, letting people be together, letting people interact. And the current boom in blockchain, this application of blockchain and NFTs in the metaverse sort of environment, is just making me think constantly that if this has such success and such application in gaming industry as the traditional gaming industry, it must be applicable to our industry, and we must find a way to sort of tokenize certain things and take advantage of all these benefits of transparency and transferability of things. And yeah, I guess this is where I would say this year I'm fascinated. I was interested in it a little bit before, but the recent developments of this whole hype, and even DraftKings announcing they're going into NFT marketplace, and all those news, it just makes you feel, if you want to be at the forward and really innovate, you can't do it without looking at the blockchain, looking at NFTs and so on. So
yeah, honestly, this is just exactly what makes me happy to hear. This is really wonderful that you see this. And again, this is why I have you here today, because I really want for this to inspire people to start looking into it like you are. And there's a couple of things I want to unpack with what you just said. The first thing is you mentioned Elon Musk, and I have to say, love him, hate him, agree with him, disagree with him. He really did bring Bitcoin, blockchain, all of this to mainstream eyes. And I have to thank him for that, because a lot of people are having conversations with me now. They did not before. Maybe they misunderstand the value of what Bitcoin is meant to be, but they start talking about it. And then you start learning from new people, and it's getting the ball rolling. So that's actually a positive thing.
But the main thing that happened is that people finally realized the difference between Bitcoin and blockchain, because we're back in the time where I was looking, preparing for my interviews with Funfair, I was talking to operators that went to those conferences where Bitcoin was discussed, where blockchain was discussed, and every time they were mistaking the terms. They thought it was one and the same. They thought of it as one cryptocurrency. So the only application they saw was, if we want to tap into those demographics with some disposable sort of amount of cryptocurrency, we need to have a cryptocurrency wallet. And for many of them, cryptocurrency was only Bitcoin. They weren't aware of other cryptocurrencies. So I think that's changed now. And, the Dogecoin news and everything made people realize that there is more than one, at least. And then, obviously from there, and with the metaverse and Decentraland and Mana, I think this is becoming more mainstream news. More people get interested, and it's now obvious. Like, people do know Bitcoin is a virtual currency, blockchain is a technology. There is more than one currency, so that's a big shift I've noticed.
Yeah, that's a really good point to make. Thank you. And speaking about Funfair, I know that, their work is very much focused on the Ethereum blockchain, and they built everything on it, around it, everything. But I know that when you and I have had conversations, you've talked about combining more traditional technology with blockchain. And I think some people are nervous to get involved with blockchain because they think it's an all or nothing kind of thing. So you're looking at it from a different angle. And I'm curious to know how, I know you're still learning, but how do you envision combining these two worlds together into one product?
So, yeah, exactly. This is very much a vision that I need to dive in deeper into. And my problem at the moment is being, not a one-man band because I've got a team now, but I'm still very sort of hands-on. I don't have time for that research, and I want to learn more. But this was exactly me. I didn't know whether this is the type of thing where you need to build the whole solution on blockchain, or can you sort of combine it with your more traditional tech stack? Because at the end of the day, we are a B2B solution that needs to integrate with operators. So it was important that we built on tech stacks that work with that. And I didn't know whether certain elements could be built on blockchain to work with this, but I was definitely interested in, potential referral links, because my product is a community product that thrives through engagement and invitation of friends into the product, and the traditional sort of user journey of inviting a friend through sort of a very complex user journey of, I don't know, SMS, email, or whatever, just wasn't fast enough for me, because in our product, it's the urgency that we want to facilitate. So that was interesting to me, and I wanted to see how I could explore that subject, but also NFTs, and perhaps one day, a proprietary token is something that I'm very interested in, because I see huge value in what NFTs bring to the table, and looking at how, for the first time ever, the sort of collectible element of collecting soccer cards or, loot from video games and so on, it goes back to the old times where you actually could hold a physical asset and make sure it's yours, and you could exchange it, and you could play with it, you could give it to other people. And I think that was lost when we first entered the online industry. And now people are realizing that the NFTs element, the token element, brings this back. And it's hugely utilized in video games. And I've been reading about revenues that the blockchain powered video games are generating, or the games like Zed or Axie Infinity. I mean, it's blowing my mind how much money is being made on these games. And I just think there needs to be an application. And I think my product would be the perfect application. It's just, I am missing that in-depth expertise or research time to figure this out, but I totally plan on doing that.
Well, I mean, what you're describing, I've actually even seen an example of this with Cryptofights, which the parent company is Fixed Gaming, and they've built their product in the BSV space. And actually, they were using Ethereum, but realized there were a number of limitations, and they just couldn't do what they wanted to do with Ethereum. Moved to VSV, and now they have this NFT marketplace, like you just said, where players, they actually win items that are NFTs. They can trade them, they can sell them, they can, move them, and eventually they'll be able to move them potentially from game to game. And so this is happening now, which is so awesome. And I'm going to put you in touch with those guys actually after this interview.
Love to, because I'm already talking to my team, because I'm also a big enthusiast for all kinds of gamification. So for our product, we want to go towards more collaborative gamification and rather than competitive, and we want to create sort of leaderboards or some type of contest between groups rather than between individual players. And we've always been talking about this whole concept of achievements and badges being a little bit useless, because players change the brands so often, and they abandon their achievements at one, and then they have to start over in another one. And the whole just high level idea of players being able to trade their achievements or sell a missing achievement for someone to attain a special status or whatever, or even in the world of Twitch extensions, with which we are currently actively exploring to really make a mark into, you can earn tokens in that. And there is not, if you earn Twitch bits, then you can only utilize them in that ecosystem. Whereas if you go for something like NFTs, then there is big ecosystem that you can create between our own streaming solution, YouTube gaming, Twitch, and it opens a whole level of different opportunities. And you can treat those communities as one big holistic sort of audience, rather than have to divide them per channel that is their favorite channel of use, especially that a lot of them use both or a couple of them.
Amazing. And there is another company in the BSP space, but they're called Haste Arcade, and they have a whole leaderboard. This is the whole thing. And what is so unique about what they're doing is everything operates on micropayments. And I'm talking fraction of a penny kind of micropayments. And it's like everyone gets a little cut and it's all paid out instantly. And it's all only possible when you involve blockchain, because you can't do that via regular payment methods, or it's just the fees are too high, or it's too labor intensive, or whatever. So that's another company I want to put you in touch with. But I think, we're just scratching the surface here. We're just getting to the beginning. And I think being able to have a vision like you do is really, really important, because the solutions for this, I think, are going to start popping up, and you can plug into them or develop with some of these people a proprietary solution for you. And this is happening now and really soon.
Yeah,
so that's, I mean, have you thought about also potentially tracking your player data or storing your player data on blockchain? Is this something you've thought about? Or is it more just NFTs and tokens at this stage?
No, I think the data would be useful as well, because again, we're a B2B solution, but we are liquidity-based solutions, and we aim to create our own following and our own community. We just hired a community engagement manager who will be building that community for us. So we have a little bit of an unorthodox approach when a B2B supplier is actually reaching out directly to the end user and creating our own sort of forum or following of players. And, we want for players to be able to fluctuate between our product on different brands. We don't want to close them in one single environment of one brand. So, and they have sort of profiles, and we allow people to follow each other. So this could be useful for us to be able to store it so that those profiles are also being transferred in between them. But the problem with our industry is that they're very scared of blockchain, and not just the operators, but also the regulators. So anytime you sort of mention that you want to try something like this, because people don't know it, they assume that this is something they shouldn't be, diving into, that it will cause problems with GDPR. But how can you be transparent and authentic? But what about GDPR? And, and the regulator might frown upon this because there is no source of funds, when all these kind of things, and a lot of myths are being repeated over and over again, or misconceptions. So I think education would be useful to all of us, I guess. So I love to see where people are coming out and openly speaking, because that makes us all more aware.
Yeah, I think you're totally right. And I think, unfortunately, when Bitcoin first came around, a lot of people took advantage of having a Bitcoin casino, and it was all underground and black market and underage players and all sorts of stuff. So regulators, I definitely agree with you, sometimes are nervous when they hear about blockchain. However, I have had some conversations with regulators, and when you're talking about using blockchain as a technology to store data or this sort of thing, a lot of them are fine with that. They treat it as any sort of tech. But when you start using it for payment is when it gets hairy. I totally, but you are right. There are some regulators that just don't even want to hear the word blockchain at all. And they need to be educated further. Because I'm sure you realize this, but go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, interestingly enough, I think blockchain could serve and could find its space in the payment space, even without the cryptocurrency, because it is the cryptocurrency bit that makes people nervous. But blockchain still carries that, speed and it's more cost effective and everything. And for example, for us, again, we are a product that relies on liquidity, and we want to allow players from different countries to play together, which carries the whole risk of currency exchange. And we want to give them opportunity to participate in each spin and make a decision each spin. And changing currency on the fly in a traditional method is crazy difficult. So, I would like to explore if, for example, blockchain would help me do that. I wouldn't go as far as maybe having a common token or some currency, or maybe even my own, because I think that is what scares the regulator and operator at this point. But I would like to explore whether blockchain could help me solve that issue with currency exchange.
Yeah, I mean, the answer for sure is yes, but you're right that the regulators need to be to give it their stamp of approval first. And that's something that I think we still need to work on for a bit. But you can even use BSV, for example, and wrap other cryptocurrencies. It's crazy. Honestly, this blows my mind. You can wrap BTC, you can wrap Ethereum and send it around on the BSV blockchain and avoid all the fees. It's nuts. Like the amount of things that you can do is mind blowing. And that kind of solution already exists in some places, and it's going to be more mainstream coming soonish, this fall even. So all these things you can do. It's just, I know it's where do you even kind of start? But I think
I love how excited you are.
I know, I get so psyched. Well, because you get it, Karolina, and a lot of people, they are thinking of blockchain and Bitcoin as we were thinking about it in 2014 and 15. And people also look at it as a way to get rich overnight and by buying and storing coins and trading and this sort of thing, which is fine. But where it gets really exciting is what you're talking about, which is going to be with us for years to come. This is the new thing. Oh, it gets me so excited. And I think micropayments, especially for what you're doing with players playing, more casually, being able to exchange things instantly without big fees would be absolutely superb. Oh, this is great.
Live Casino is also an amazing application for this. And this we have been saying forever now, because, in Live Casino, there is this element of limited seating and, a split of a second that you have to take a seat at the table, especially at peak times. And if you happen to run out of money, it's difficult to top up your balance the traditional way. So we've been doing some stuff. For example, at Leo Vegas, we tried to shorten that journey to redeposit by building the deposit journey into the game window, so you could do it without leaving your seat. But still, there is the whole processing time, and not all the payment methods were supported within that in-game journey. So again, people are scared of it, but I think it could facilitate amazing benefits for the live dealer product, which is the fastest growing product in our industry, and it's the one with the largest potential in the US, just because of the familiarity of that play from land-based casinos and so on.
Yeah, I remember our interviews when you were with Leo Vegas about the live dealer product that you did such a great job with. Yeah. Oh, this is outstanding. And I really do hope that anybody listening here today is giving them some ideas, potentially people in the blockchain space of products to work on or to talk with you about, Karolina, because this is where it gets really exciting. Anything else that you wish to add about this subject or?
No, I think it's just I'm open for expertise exchange, because I do believe in sort of solution specialization. So I'm not going around claiming that I'm a blockchain expert, and I'm not going to try to build all these things by myself. They're probably not going to make it to an MVP because I'm already on a tight schedule to release my product. But if someone is interested in sort of exchange of ideas, and I know the real money gaming product pretty well. I've spent 10 years in product roles, so I can probably inspire some people of what they can build. But I would also want to understand if there's anything that I contribute and help me brainstorm what is it that we could do with this specifically for my product, which is already quite innovative. So there's space for this to be different. I'd be open to talk, and I encourage anyone to reach out.
Amazing. This has been such an amazing chat. This is exactly what I want to be talking about with all of the forward thinkers in our space. So I really appreciate your time, Karolina. Really proud of your work. You're an inspiration to all of us, and I really hope to see you soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And thank you guys so much for watching. This is Becky Legura with Karolina Pelc, hashing it out for CoinGeek.com.
Hi, it's Jimmy Nguyen, founding president of Bitcoin Association. I'm inviting you to the 8th CoinGeek Conference. CoinGeek is coming back to the Big Apple, New York City. Join us October 5th through 7th at the Sheraton New York Times Square Hotel in Manhattan. You'll learn how the BSV blockchain is transforming all industries. With its massive scalability, BSV can power efficient payments down to the micro and nano level, and data applications of all types for enterprise, government, and consumers. After so many years of just hearing about the promise of blockchain technology, It's time to see some real uses and real value. Registration is now open, so get your tickets early and stay tuned for more information about CoinGeek New York. DSV Blockchain. It's about time.